everyone, welcome back for another episode of Adams for the Love of Movie Picks. This time around, we're going to be talking about the 2021 film Chernobyl 1986. So I've seen a lot of different Chernobyl movies, documentaries, TV series, whatever you want to call them. You've got, obviously, the very first one, strangely enough, was the only thing it had to do with Chernobyl is the location. Other than that, it never really had to do anything. It was a horror movie called Chernobyl Diaries. Using urban legend of mutated people that were still living in the radioactive zone, which is kind of an interesting concept. Then you followed it up, and you had the Chernobyl TV series, which was phenomenal, as I've already specified before. Then there was the Heavy Water documentary, which was pretty good. And then now you got this film. So basically, Chernobyl, 1986. So the interesting thing with a lot of the other Chernobyl ones is that they are, basically more about the Chernobyl itself as a whole, whereas this is focusing on one man's story during the Chernobyl incident. Excuse me. It's the personal story of a firefighter named Alexei Karpushin. And so this movie, now a lot of the actors in the movie, I think this is a European-made movie. I'm not sure exactly what country, but a lot of the actors, I don't recognize their names, but they do a pretty good job, all things considered. You got Danila Kozlovsky as Alexei, Oksana Akashina as Olga, Philip Avdiv as Engineer Valera, Ravshana Kurkova as Dina, Nikolai Kozak as military diver Boris, Igor Chernichevich as Tropin. And that's pretty much the extent of the more important characters that take place in this movie. So like I said, it's the personal story of Alexei, the firefighter, during the events of Chernobyl. Oh, excuse me. Sorry, folks. Dropped my paper there. And, it takes a little bit for this movie to get going. I'm not going to lie. But once it does get going, it really takes off. It's got to build up the story before it gets to the whole events after the Chernobyl accident actually happens. It's really cool. So, a lot, I think the best movie to do an in-depth look at everything surrounding the Chernobyl disaster was the Chernobyl TV series. But this, gives an in-depth look into the life, something that the Chernobyl series really didn't do in great detail was life inside Pripyat before the disaster. Like people getting their haircut, taking the local bus to get around, life inside some of their homes and workplaces like the fire station, and also things that they did for fun. Getting ice cream, the fair, there was a fair that was going to be going on, and things like that. I like how it shows different parts of the nuclear plant that were not shown in previous movies or shows. Like certain hallways and stairways that lead to certain places, just things like that, which is kind of cool. It's also neat how they show in detail now the immediate effects of the radiation on the first responders, and also the complete chaos of the whole situation they were in for them. The Chernobyl TV series did show some of the harmful effects of the radiation, but this one was just it's immediate on the ground, whereas the Chernobyl was more showing some of the immediate after effects of what the radiation did to some of the first responders. This one, it was just immediate and showing exactly what was going on. One thing I knew that was true about this, about the story of Chernobyl, and still do not like and do not fully understand. Of course, I'm not from a totalitarian society like the Russians during the reign of the Soviet Union, but at the same token, fully understand is that in the movie they show that people. Basically, by the time that they actually decided to evacuate these people, days after the actual explosion of the reactor, they basically had mere minutes to get their stuff and get out. Well, one of the things that they grabbed, some people grabbed, and I would personally grab, but then they were told they're not allowed to bring with them is their pets, their animals. They were forced to leave them behind. I would be like, over my dead body, am I leaving my animals behind? Like, I don't know how they can make people do such a thing. And of course, a lot of the animals, because they were contaminated in the radiation zone, ended up being rounded up and killed by the liquidators later on. So it was really sad, and it's just a situation I never fully agreed with. The last thing is, it was pretty cool to see an in-depth look at the effort put into and carried out for the mission to drain the water under the reactor by all the men involved. They really show in detail the confined, dangerous, dirty, and hot environment these men worked in to open the valves and drain the water and prevent a secondary, larger explosion of radioactive materials. So it's just it's a neat, kind of more in-depth, personal look at the lives in Pripyat before the Chernobyl disaster, and just focusing on one man's story instead of the Chernobyl as a whole. So I liked it. I still personally like the TV series better as a whole, but this I think is still a good watch. I'm not sure if it's available on any streaming platforms, but I managed to get my copy off of Amazon, folks. So if you want to pick yourself up a personal copy, check it out. I don't think you'll be disappointed. And there we are, folks. That's all we have for tonight. Hope you enjoyed this episode, and we'll catch you next week for another episode. Take care.
And now, folks, it's time to say goodnight. We sincerely appreciate your patronage and hope we've succeeded in bringing you an enjoyable evening of entertainment. Please drive home carefully and come back again soon. Good night.